Hi, this is a video about lightsabers, a theory about how you could make one in practical reality. The original concept I had was really simple. It just has a transmitter of radio RF waves, radio frequency, and you have a peak wave front and a trough wave front, and so you have like a positive front and a negative front, and they have a voltage disparity between them, which creates electron flow between the 2 points. So that's the concept that I began with. Then I sort of thought, well, if you have a really long 2 points, space between the 2 points, it's sort of hard to get enough conductivity, enough potential difference between the 2 points to actually get conduction in air. So I was thinking, well, what if you have multiple points? And that's where I came up with an idea for a waveguide, which they use these in microwaves and stuff like that. I think in radar too. And it's just like a metal plate with holes drilled into it, but the holes are a specific direction, so they go up towards the point that they're trying to reach, and you have a plus and a negative, plus and negative, plus and negative to make a line of conduction. So this would almost be like a welding torch, but it would be more along lines of the spark welder. But then I was thinking, you got to have the emitters, so I guess this was the original design. It's just really simple. This is just an oscillator here. I guess I drew a capacitor, which I guess that's not what it's supposed to look like, but here's the power supply, here's the emitters, and just like inside of a tube, which is also a waveguide. And so, I hope you don't mind, I'm using a straw as a pointer, a Starbucks straw. Okay, so this is the current design. This is not like a complete end all be all of how to make a lightsaber, but it's just the basic concept. It's not that, it's a little bit complicated, but not really hard to understand, I don't think. The waveguide is up here again, but it's a different format because it has 3-phase coils in it, which the 3-phase coils, you start with the first phase here, and the waves are directed upward into where it's supposed to go, and then the second coil is induced, charge is induced, which creates another wave front, which goes into its respective direction, and then the third coil right here is also induced in the third phase, which makes the third phase RF that goes in the direction it's supposed to go. So you have basically the electromagnetic waves move outward, just like a linear induction, like as if it was a 3-phase linear induction motor, except it would move outward from the center, so that there's an actual force repelling any object that it touches, because it will be producing a force in that direction like a linear induction motor would. So outward from the center is the direction it would go. And I'll show you that in a second. I just want to show you this design. And it's pretty straightforward. It's not really, the power supply is not really figured out. It's just a capacitor. That's how I draw a capacitor, just because I think it's simple to understand that way. And an oscillator, which is just, this is just a feedback circuit that has, as the circuit charges, it creates a magnetic field which opens the circuit, so then the magnetic field drops away, and then it closes the circuit after that, which makes the magnetic field build up again. So it's just a simple oscillator, like a buzzer. So this is how old school bells worked in schools. recessed bells. And then here's the circuit diagram here, color coded. T stands for Tesla, which is just electromagnetic field force lines. And the waveguide would probably be like just a ferrous material, or if it's high voltage, it might just need to be some kind of metal conductor. And hold on a second, I'll show you the rest of the idea. Okay, so this is the type of beam that I sort of came up with the concept for a lightsaber that would repel any object that it touches, especially like another beam. In the first phase, you have a positive wavefront in the center and a negative wavefront in the outermost part, and then the positive wavefront moves outward further until the negative wavefront's in the center now, and the negative wavefront starts moving outward to the edge. Is the basic concept. But also there's a thing about lightsabers where they have different colors. So if you think about like a rainbow and how those work, I think the light reflects off of like raindrops in behind like clouds and from the sunset and from the sun on the opposite side of the sky, and when it reflects it refracts through other droplets of water to create a certain color at a certain place along where the line of sight is. So I think the thing is with these ion with these ion beams, you'd have a high heat between each of these lines of electrical conduction. So there would be a certain spacing between these heats, and there would be a heat differential where it would be cooler in between the lines of conduction and hotter on the lines of conduction, which would actually bend the light, because the air would be different pressurizations, different densities, so it would bend the light just like water, supposedly. So if you were to space these this kind of width apart and vary that spacing, you might be able to get a different diffraction of light, and that's how you change the color of the beam. So as I said, this is not a complete and totally end-all be-all of lightsabers. It's just a concept I had, and I thought I'd share it with people just in case anybody wanted to build one. I'd like to see one. That'd be fun to see. Don't try it, to give this to a kid or something, but it'd be really awesome if it worked. The only thing that's missing is the power supply. I don't know any large enough power supply that could power it. So this is the concept for how to construct the rest of it. I mean, this is a transformer here, so there'd be high voltage. I think I didn't explain that, but this is like transformer that creates a higher voltage. But the original power supply would have to be a large source of power that would last a long time. I don't know what the power source would be at this point. I had a theory that you could if you could have, I don't know, you'd probably need to be the power of a lightning bolt. I'm guessing it has to be like a really high amount of power. So if you could somehow get a lightning bolt to create energy or something and contain that, that would be the kind of power source you'd need for a lightsaber, because it basically is a long lightning bolt. So this is just a theory. If anybody has any better ways of constructing it, that would be cool if I heard some comments about that. I just thought I'd share it and see what anybody thinks, and hopefully this will be inspiration for somebody else, and I hope you had fun watching this video.